It was a day very much like this one, quiet and slightly melancholic.
I'm 90 years old, and if there's one message I could scream from the rooftops to every person who still has time, it's this. Never do this. Never waste the precious days you have left thinking you'll always have tomorrow. Because I'm here to tell you my final 10 regrets, the things that haunt me as I sit here in what are likely my last months on this earth, and I don't want you to end up like me, looking back with tears in your eyes, wishing you could turn back the clock. I've spent the last year in and out of hospitals. I've watched friends take their final breaths. I've had countless sleepless nights where all I can do is stare at the ceiling and replay my life like a movie I can't pause or rewind. And you know what I've realized? The things I regret aren't the mistakes I made or the times I failed. No, the real regrets, the ones that cut deepest, are the things I didn't do, the risks I didn't take, the words I didn't say, the love I didn't give, the life I didn't fully live. So listen closely, because what I'm about to share with you could change everything about how you spend your remaining days. These aren't just my regrets. After talking to dozens of people in their final years, after sitting with dying friends and comparing notes about where we went wrong, I've discovered these regrets are nearly universal. We all make the same mistakes. We all waste our lives in the same predictable ways. But you, right now, still have the power to do something about it. Regret number 1. I wish I hadn't spent so many years pretending to be someone I wasn't. This is the big one, the regret that underlies almost everything else. For most of my life, I wore a mask. I pretended to like things I didn't like. I pretended to believe things I didn't believe. I built a career in accounting because it was respectable, because it's what my father wanted, because it seemed safe. But I hated numbers. I hated spreadsheets. I hated sitting in that office under fluorescent lights, feeling my soul slowly drain away with each passing year. What I really wanted was to be a photographer. I wanted to travel the world capturing moments, telling stories through images, creating art that moved people. But that seemed impractical, risky, not serious enough. So I buried that dream and became who I thought I should be instead of who I actually was. And now, at 90, with trembling hands that can barely hold a camera anymore, I look at the handful of photographs I took on vacations, the few moments I allowed myself to be authentic, and I weep. Because I could have had a lifetime of that joy, I could have struggled and failed and tried again and eventually succeeded at something I actually cared about. Instead, I succeeded at something that never mattered to me, and that success feels completely hollow now. Here's what I want you to understand. The world doesn't need another person playing it safe, fitting into the mold, doing what's expected. The world needs you, the real you, the weird you, the passionate you, the you that comes alive when you're doing what you truly love. Every day you spend being someone you're not is a day you can never get back. And trust me, when you're lying in a hospital bed counting your remaining days, you won't care about what other people thought. You'll only care that you wasted so much time caring about what other people thought. Regret number 2. I wish I had told the people I loved how much they meant to me. My wife died 6 years ago. We were married for 58 years. And you know how many times I told her I loved her in all those years? Not nearly enough. I assumed she knew. I thought providing for the family and showing up was enough. I was wrong. She needed to hear the words, She needed to feel cherished, not just provided for. My son and I barely spoke for the last decade of his life before he passed away from cancer. We had a stupid argument about politics, about things that don't matter at all in the grand scheme of things, and we let that argument create a wall between us. I was too proud to pick up the phone, too stubborn to apologize. And now he's gone, and I would give anything, absolutely anything, to tell him I loved him one more time, to tell him I was wrong, to tell him that being his father was one of the greatest joys of my life. I had a best friend in college named Robert. We were inseparable for 4 years. After graduation, we promised to stay in touch, but life got busy. Decades passed. I thought about calling him hundreds of times, but never did. I found out he died 5 years ago. I never got to tell him how much those college years meant to me, how he saved me from loneliness, how his friendship shaped who I became. Here's the truth that took me 90 years to learn. Love isn't something you feel privately and assume people understand. Love is something you express out loud, repeatedly, even when it feels awkward or vulnerable. The people you love need to hear it from your lips. They need to see it in your actions. They need to feel it in your presence. Don't assume they know. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't let pride or busy schedules or petty disagreements keep you from saying what needs to be said. Because one day it will be too late, and you'll carry that silence like a stone in your chest for whatever time you have left. Regret number 3. I wish I had prioritized experiences over possessions. I spent so much money on things. A bigger house with rooms we never used, cars that sat in the garage, furniture that looked impressive but wasn't comfortable, gadgets that became obsolete in a year, clothes I wore once. I thought accumulating stuff would make me happy. I thought it would prove I was successful. I thought it mattered. But now, as I prepare to leave this world, none of that stuff matters at all. I can't take any of it with me. My children will sell most of it. Some of it will end up in thrift stores or landfills. The house that I was so proud of, that I worked overtime for years to afford, is just a building. It doesn't hold my hand. It doesn't make me laugh. It doesn't give my life meaning. You know what I do remember? You know what actually brings me joy when I look back? The trip to Italy with my wife, where we got lost in Venice and laughed until we cried. The camping trip with my kids, where we told ghost stories by the fire, the concerts I attended, the dinners with friends that stretched late into the night, the spontaneous road trip to the coast, the afternoon I spent teaching my grandson to fish. Those experiences, those moments of connection and adventure and joy, those are what I carry with me now. Those are what made life worth living. If I could do it over, I'd live in a smaller house and travel more. I'd drive an older car and spend the money on experiences instead. I'd own less and live more. Because at the end, the only things that matter are the memories you made and the people you made them with. Regret number 4. I wish I had taken care of my health when I was younger. I'm 90 years old and my body is falling apart. My knees are shot. My back hurts constantly. I have heart disease and diabetes and a list of other conditions I take 15 medications to manage. Getting out of bed is painful. Walking across the room leaves me breathless. I can't do most of the things I want to do because my body simply won't cooperate anymore. And here's the thing that makes it so much worse. Most of this was preventable. I smoked for 30 years. I ate terribly. I never exercised. I sat at a desk for 8 hours a day and then sat on the couch for 4 more hours every night. I ignored every warning sign. I skipped doctor's appointments. I told myself I'd start taking care of myself tomorrow, next week, next year. I had excuse after excuse. Too busy, too tired, too stressed. I'll start after this project. I'll start after the holidays. I'll start when things calm down. But things never calmed down, and by the time I finally started paying attention to my health, the damage was done. Now I'm paying the price, and it's not just physical pain, it's the opportunities I've lost. I can't travel anymore. I can't play with my great-grandchildren the way I want to. I can't take long walks or go hiking or do any of the things I always said I'd do when I had more time. Well, I have the time now, but I don't have the health. Your body is the only one you get. There are no replacements, no do-overs. And the choices you make today, the food you eat, the movement you do or don't do, the sleep you get, the stress you manage or ignore, all of that is either building your future health or destroying it. You think you're invincible now. I thought that too. Everyone does, but time catches up with everyone. And the body you have at 70 or 80 or 90 is being built right now today. By the choices you're making, don't waste your health while you have it. It's the foundation everything else is built on. Regret number 5. I wish I had spent less time worrying and more time living. I wasted so much time worrying. Decades of time. I worried about money constantly, even when we had enough. I worried about what people thought of me. I worried about worst-case scenarios that never happened. I worried about things I couldn't control. I worried instead of sleeping. I worried instead of enjoying moments with my family. I worried instead of living. Looking back now, I can see that probably 95% of the things I worried about never actually happened. The job I thought I'd lose, I kept for 20 years. The financial disaster I feared never materialized. The judgments I imagined people were making mostly existed only in my head. I robbed myself of presence, of joy, of peace, all for imaginary threats. And the irony is, the real challenges that did come, the ones I didn't see coming, I handled them. My wife's cancer diagnosis, my son's struggles with addiction, the recession that hurt our savings. When real problems actually showed up, I found the strength to deal with them. All that practice worrying didn't prepare me or protect me, it just made me miserable. Worry is a con. It convinces you that it's productive, that you're solving problems or preventing disasters, but it's not, and you're not. Worry is just suffering in advance for things that usually don't happen. And even when challenges do come, worry doesn't help you handle them better. Action helps. Planning helps. But worry? Worry just steals your peace and gives you nothing in return. If I could go back, I'd cut my worrying by 90% and invest that energy into being present instead, into noticing beauty, into enjoying meals, into really listening when people talk to me, into sleeping peacefully, into trusting that I could handle whatever came, because I always did handle it, and so will you. Regret number 6. I wish I had been braver. I played it safe my entire life. I took the secure job instead of the exciting one. I stayed in my hometown instead of moving somewhere new. I invested conservatively and never took entrepreneurial risks. I kept my opinions to myself to avoid conflict. I stayed in my comfort zone year after year after year. And now I look back and realize that safety isn't the same thing as happiness. All the best moments of my life, the ones that actually mattered, came when I stepped outside my comfort zone. Asking my wife to marry me was terrifying, but it was the best decision I ever made. The one time I stood up to my boss and demanded better treatment, it led to a promotion. The speech I gave at my daughter's wedding, even though I was shaking with nerves, created a memory she still talks about. But those moments were rare. Most of the time, I chose safety over growth. I chose comfort over adventure. I chose certainty over possibility. And what did all that safety get me? A life half-lived, a pile of what-ifs, a constant nagging feeling that I was capable of so much more than I allowed myself to attempt. The older you get, the more you realize that the biggest risk is not taking any risks. It's not the failures you regret. It's the attempts you never made, the dreams you never chased, the person you never became because you were too afraid to try. Bravery doesn't mean being fearless. It means being afraid and doing it anyway. It means recognizing that regret is more painful than failure. It means understanding that you're going to die anyway, so you might as well live boldly while you can. Regret number 7. I wish I had learned to forgive both others and myself. I held grudges for years, decades in some cases. I stayed angry at my brother over a business disagreement for 15 years. We barely spoke at family gatherings. We missed out on knowing each other's children. And for what? Money that doesn't matter now. Pride that gained me nothing. I wasted years of potential connection because I couldn't let go of being right. I was even harder on myself. I beat myself up over every mistake, every failure, every time I didn't measure up to my own impossible standards. I replayed embarrassing moments for years. I punished myself with shame and guilt. I treated myself with a harshness I would never have directed at anyone else. And all that self-flagellation didn't make me better. It just made me miserable. Here's what I understand now. Forgiveness isn't about condoning wrong behavior or pretending you weren't hurt. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the prison of resentment. It's about choosing peace over punishment. It's about recognizing that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It only hurts you. And forgiving yourself is just as important. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail sometimes. You're going to hurt people you love, usually unintentionally. You're going to fall short of your ideals. That's part of being alive. The question is whether you're going to learn and grow from those experiences or whether you're going to torture yourself with them forever. Self-compassion isn't self-indulgence. It's the foundation of being able to actually improve and do better. Let it go. Whatever you're holding on to, whoever you're refusing to forgive, whatever you're punishing yourself for, let it go. Life is too short to carry all that weight. Free yourself, forgive, and move forward. Regret number 8. I wish I had been more present with my children when they were young. My kids grew up while I was busy. I was there physically, living in the same house, but I wasn't really present. I was thinking about work during dinner. I was distracted during their stories. I said, "Not now," when they wanted to play because I had things to do. I missed games and recitals because of meetings. I was too tired to really engage when I got home, and now they're in their 60s. Their childhood is long over. Those moments are gone forever. I can't get a do-over on bedtime stories or teaching them to ride a bike or really listening when they tried to tell me about their day. I thought I'd have time later. I thought there would always be another chance. I was wrong. The cruel joke of parenthood is that the days feel long, but the years are short. When you're in it, When you're exhausted and overwhelmed and cleaning up the same mess for the 100th time, it feels endless. But then you blink and they're grown and gone, and you'd give anything to have one more day of that chaos, one more chance to be fully present for a moment that felt ordinary, but was actually precious. Your children don't need a perfect parent. They don't need expensive toys or a big house or private schools. What they need is you, actually you, present, engaged, paying attention, looking them in the eyes, listening to the stories that seem boring to you but are important to them. Playing the game even though you have emails to answer, being there, really there, for the unrepeatable moments of their childhood. You can't buy back time with your kids. You can't go back and be present for moments you missed. If you have young children now, put down your phone, close your laptop, let the dishes wait, be with them, really with them, because someday, sooner than you can imagine, you'll be my age, and the only thing you'll want is one more hour of the time you're taking for granted right now. Regret number 9. I wish I had asked more questions and really listened to the answers. I spent most of my life waiting for my turn to talk instead of actually listening. I thought I knew everything. I had opinions on everything. I was always ready to give advice, share my perspective, explain how things really were. But I rarely asked questions. I rarely got curious about other people's experiences. I rarely just shut up and listened. As a result, I missed out on so much wisdom. My father had incredible stories from World War II, but I never asked him about them in depth because I was too busy talking about my own life. My wife had dreams and fears and thoughts she rarely shared because I never created space for them by asking and then really listening. My colleagues had insights I never benefited from because I was always trying to prove I was smart instead of trying to learn. The older I get, the more I realize how little I actually know, how much wisdom is walking around in other people's heads and hearts, how many fascinating stories people have if you just ask, how much you can learn if you approach conversations with genuine curiosity instead of waiting to speak. The quality of your life is largely determined by the quality of your relationships, and the quality of your relationships is largely determined by how well you listen. Not pretend to listen while thinking about what you're going to say next. Actually listen. Ask follow-up questions. Get curious. Create space for people to share their truth. You'll be amazed at what you discover. Regret number 10. I wish I had started living intentionally sooner. This is the big one. The regret that encompasses all the others. For most of my life, I just went through the motions. I did what was expected. I followed the script. I let life happen to me instead of actively choosing how I wanted to live. I never stopped to ask what I actually wanted, what mattered to me, what kind of life would feel meaningful and fulfilling. I just kept moving forward on autopilot, assuming I was on the right path because it was the path everyone else was on. But there is no right path. There's only your path, the life that aligns with your values and dreams and priorities. And you have to choose it actively, consciously, intentionally. You have to wake up and decide what you want your life to be about, who you want to be, how you want to spend your limited time, what really matters to you versus what you've been told should matter. Most people never do this. They inherit their lives instead of designing them. They accept the default settings instead of customizing their own experience. And then they wake up at 60 or 70 or 80 and realize they've been living someone else's dream, following someone else's priorities, measuring success by someone else's metrics. And by then, it feels too late to change. But it's not too late. Not if you're still breathing. Every day is a chance to start living more intentionally, to align your actions with your values, to say no to things that don't matter, and yes to things that do. To stop sleepwalking through your one precious life and wake up and actively create the experience you want to have. Some people think it's morbid to think about death and regrets. I disagree. It's healthy. It's necessary. It's one of the few things that can shake us out of our trance and remind us what actually matters. The inevitability of death should inspire us to get busy living, really living, not just existing, not just going through the motions, but actively, intentionally, courageously living in alignment with what we know deep down is important. I'm 90 years old. I don't have much time left. These regrets I'm sharing with you, they're not theoretical. They're the weight I carry every single day, the ache in my chest when I think about all the ways I wasted the gift of life I was given. But you still have time. You still have the power to make different choices, to avoid these regrets, to build a life you won't have to look back on with tears and wish you could change. So please, hear me. Don't spend your life pretending to be someone you're not. Tell the people you love how much they mean to you today out loud, without waiting. Choose experiences over possessions. Take care of your health while you still have it. Worry less and live more. Be brave enough to take risks and chase dreams. Forgive others and yourself. Be present with the people who matter most. Listen more than you talk. And above all, live intentionally. Wake up and actively choose the life you want instead of sleepwalking into the life you'll regret. Your time is limited, more limited than you think. Don't waste it. Don't end up like me, sitting here with a list of regrets and no way to fix them. Learn from my mistakes. Let my pain be your gain. Choose differently. Live boldly. Love deeply. Be present. Be authentic. Be brave, because one day you'll be where I am now, looking back at the life you lived, and the only question that will matter is whether you actually lived it, fully and intentionally, or whether you let it slip through your fingers while you were busy planning to start living someday. Someday is now. Today is the day to start. Don't wait. You don't have as much time as you think. None of us do. Make it count while you still can.